Hello, everybody. I'm Joe Drennen, and I'm with Divine Mercy University. And we are on this webinar tonight with Dr. Klausli. She is the program chair, and Charisse, who she's a recent graduate, but she's going to be an admissions advisor just like me. But we got some very exciting things to tell you about what's going on, within the DMU community and our continual improvement. And so, without further ado, let's go with Dr. Klaus.
Thank you so much. So good to have everybody here tonight. I think we're going to start. Just Charisse, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit, say when you graduated, and kind of maybe start off with what you did and what drew you to the program.
My name is Charisse Magsipok. I learned about IPS, Institute for Psychological Sciences, back when I was in college. Back in around 2008, I attended a focus conference, and I was just finishing my engineering degrees at the time. And then I realized at some point in there, I was like, I'm going to go back to psychology at some points. I've always been getting the IPS newsletters every month. And then as time went by, I was an engineer for several years in the oil field. I was a sister for a few years, and then I worked at the parish for about 5 years as a sacraments coordinator for youth formation. So First Communion, infant baptism, RCIA for children. And then in that time, I was really encountering a lot of families, a lot of brokenness in families. And I don't know, and as an engineer, I'm usually like straightforward, logical, over analytical. And I really realized I was missing a huge social component in my work. So I remembered about Divine Mercy University, and I started doing the MSP program back in the summer of 2021. And then I graduated actually this past summer. I finished my last course in July 23, and I was doing a self-design track. And I was so excited to do it because a lot of my capstone also went into implementation in my parish, and it's still a program that's being used there. So happy to be here.
Very good. Thank you.
Fantastic. So if you think back, we have 8 core courses, and then we have 3 electives that people can choose in different areas, and we'll talk about those a little bit. A couple of things that kind of stand out to you as you went through the program that you thought, wow, that really helped me in my work in ministry.
There were 2 human services classes that I took. There was the relationship interventions and the group therapy class. Those 2 classes really challenged me. And actually, when I was first applying to Divine Mercy University, I was like, I'm not going to be a counselor. I don't feel like I'm fit to talking to people. But then I challenged myself to do these classes where I was really challenged to see how I interacted with people and how I needed to be more empathetic to others as well. And that really helped me in my work. So Dr. Anna Picararo and Dr. Laura Cusimano were really integral in helping me improve the social component of my work, for sure. So those 2 classes really stood out to me.
Fantastic. And I think really what it is, I think one of the things that I particularly love, I love a lot of parts about our program. But one thing for me as program director and as faculty, what I love is the MSP has such a range of students. We have people, probably 25% of our students living overseas. So which makes for wonderful discussion in the weekly discussion posts, because people come with such a richness of experience and perspectives. And then also we have people from such different backgrounds in terms of work and ministry. Like you, Charisse, you came from engineering and then into ministry. We do have a substantial number of priests and sisters and focus missionaries, but also we have people who are in the business world, people who are in healthcare, right? People who are going on for other doctoral programs. So just the variety of experience is one of the things that is, I think, very, very joyful in terms of walking through the program. Charisse, if you think a little bit, it's all online, 100% asynchronous online. How did you feel? Did it feel very alone? Did you feel you could connect with people?
Yes. So when I was doing the online portion, especially that first class, it was very integral to actually meet the cohort. I actually went out of my way to really get a WhatsApp with people and to talk to them. And I would say the first course really helped me introduce myself to online learning. So that first course was really good at easing me into it. The weekly discussions, the papers that you would have to do every week. And then what I really loved about those were the weekly individualized feedback from the professors, which are so helpful too, because sometimes I feel like, as you mentioned, like online learning can be very difficult sometimes. Despite the fact that it's asynchronous, that you can learn it on your own time, you feel sort of isolated at home, but you'll always have these feedback from professors, from your cohorts. So you never really feel alone during this program at all.
Yeah, and I really appreciate your perspective as somebody who's just walked through it. I think that's really, it feels like an online learning community, right? It is really a virtual learning community. And we have, I think, since you have walked through the program, we've added a virtual residency in the first course where we spend 2 full days together online in small groups and in larger groups, and practicing skills, relating skills that pretty much anybody needs in any kind of job or ministry. And being able to listen well and connect with your listener doesn't matter if you're a CEO of a company or parish priest or anything around that. Just so important. So we're practicing skills, but we all are meeting each other. We all getting to know each other a little bit, which the feedback we get is people find that really, really joyful. I'm going to share my screen here for a minute just to give a little bit of an overview of where we're at in the program, what the program is. And one of the things, and we haven't updated the last piece yet. So we've kind of over the years, the last few years, added concentrations. The reason we've added concentrations is that people come to us with, can you teach this? Can you give us this? I am director of marriage and family in my diocese. I need to know more about integrative view of the family, or pre-Cana, post-Cana, premarital, postmarital support for families and couples. So over the last couple of years, we've added concentrations to accommodate the different needs that people bring to us. Marriage and family is one where people working with couples, mentor couples, and we have quite a few people who are directors of marriage and family, both at the parish level and at the diocesan level. People who work in nonprofit organizations and like to understand a little bit more on family systems theory, hands-on interventions. And now we've just revised and added a course on Catholic Christian marriage and human sexuality. So having that integrative view on marriage, family, and human sexuality, if that's part of your work ministry, there's a great course, great concentration. We've added the human services because we have a lot of people who come with a desire to help and a desire to work with people who have faced adversity, who are in harder places. And human services is that concentration that equips you to help people overcome adversity by connecting them with resources. So case management for different agencies to work with people. That's kind of your human services degree. There is a certification you can get that the degree qualifies you for, that you have to do afterwards, getting some practical hours, but we meet the educational requirements for that. Then leadership is just a great concentration. We've had some people who have project management in Silicon Valley, and they come to us and was like, all I know is computers. I don't know anything about people. I need to learn to understand people. Charisse, maybe that's a little bit your background with engineering, right? Like, I'm really comfortable with the engineering and with the math and the IT, but now I'm supposed to be in charge of people. So how does that work? So we have our first course, Applied Leadership Skills, really goes from self-leadership to other leadership. How do I lead myself well? How I become comfortable being the role of a leader? Then adding the concept of transformational leadership, and then having a very hands-on organizational leadership class. So if that is you are in either a ministry setting where you take leadership. We have some priests who have a Catholic school attached to their parish, larger parish ministry, or people who are heads in seminaries. people who are leadership roles at Focus. So many different leadership roles who just feel they want to have deeper knowledge in leadership and have it from a Catholic Christian perspective. Then the pre-PhD is our latest, or it's not our latest is bioethics, the one that we started this year in January. And there is kind of a growing group of people kind of fresh out of college who probably want to get into a little more competitive doctoral programs. And they want to get the integrative perspective. How do I integrate philosophy, theology, psychology well before I go on maybe for a state school doctoral program? And who want to have done a full research project, hopefully a presentation at a conference and a publication, to put them in that little more competitive space to apply for doctoral programs. And that's been a really great addition. Just had 2 meetings today with students who are doing something on boredom and sense of purpose in life, and just did some really interesting data collection for young adults. So somebody doing intergenerational trauma. So fantastic, interesting research work that they are doing and pulling in that Christian view of the person into their research work. Then self-design for those, a lot of ministry people go the self-design route because depending on their ministry needs, they take one relating skills class, maybe the marriage family or Catholic Christian marriage human sexuality course, and maybe one leadership course. So we have a lot of our priests, sisters, people in ministry have liked the self-design. And then just, it's not on this list yet, we added just this fall, or starting in spring, a bioethics in collaboration with the National Catholic Bioethics Center. For people who are chaplains, people working in healthcare, who are kind of faced with these harder ethical situations, people struggling and being in harder places. So the ability to discern well and relate compassionately and empathically, right? Those two pieces together is, that's what the bioethics concentration is for. So if people have questions about either of the concentrations, put a question in the chat. We'd love to give more feedback. Charisse, you took a couple classes from Human Services, is that correct?
Yes, and one in leadership.
You want to say a little bit what stood out to you and what was helpful in those classes?
For sure, as you mentioned, I have come from a technical background. So for me, I can do the math, I can do the logistics side, the coordinating side, but I needed more help in tools to be able to engage other people. So in my work at the parish, I work with a lot of families. I don't particularly work in the marriage section, but with kids. And when they come up to me with questions about mental health and how to, and then their parents are coming out to me what they're working with their children. The human services side really helped me, especially the relationship interventions, learning how to listen, how to empathically listen and be present to these families was something I was really needing. So the relationship intervention class was interesting because it required you to actually do talks with other people, and you had to record it, and that was what you were being graded on. And that was such a challenge for me because I don't like being in front of the camera, but it was such a good practice. And then the group therapy sessions were really about leading groups for me. It's because I lead a lot of families through First Communion, through sacraments for their children. I needed to learn more about how to be more present in a larger group of people and how to be attentive to each person as the best that I can, of course, but that taught me how to lead. And then the leadership really cemented how I can be a better leader. And honestly, from that class, I really learned that to be a better leader, I need to also be a better follower. Like all of these little things that I'm learning in these classes are something I was able to take with me to work almost immediately. So everything I was learning was just really applicable to any profession.
Excellent.
And it was
Thank you so much for sharing. Look at the chat here. Oh, no questions. Good. I wanted to be sure. If you have questions, put them in the chat. We'll go a little bit further, kind of what is that core that you'll be learning? So we'll have the electives that you will take. Really being, I call it psychologically literate is probably the best way to describe it. Be well psychologically literate. right? To know those basic concepts of human growth and development, right? Seeing the person in their formative years and seeing the person in the aging years, right? Understanding how their thinking changes, how perception changes, how spirituality develops, right? And thinking to your own journey, right? How was my own journey has affected me? Where am I in the lifespan? So being very familiar with that, I think gives a wonderful asset, is a wonderful asset in working with people. And we have a developmental psychopathology, risk and resilience, which is our outlook on psychopathology is really developmental, right? Factors of risk and factors that increase resiliency. So looking through at different, basic psychopathology, addictions, OCD, anxiety disorders, etc. But always with this developmental framework, because we're never stuck. We're never at a place. And our Catholic Christian meta model of the person, which one piece that I love, is that as being created in the image of God, we are developmental. God has created us with the ability to grow and develop and change, which is such a hopeful outlook for the person. We are never stuck. We are never just at a place. We're always with that trajectory towards eternity and growth and development. A couple of years ago, we had a course, Cognition, Emotion, Motivation, for people to understand, for us to learn a little bit biological bases of behavior and emotion, thinking through thought processes and how they affect our emotion, what motivates people, right? If I need to motivate people, well, what are those factors from motivational psychology? What are decision-making processes, right? How do people make decisions, right? What do they pull in those thought processes? I think a very helpful course for understanding functioning. Then we have our Catholic Christian Vision of Flourishing course that talks about vocations and virtues as a philosophy course. And then stats and research methodology, which is really puts you in that place. I think those two courses where you go from not expert to expert, right? The ability to speak as an expert is those tools to go to the research literature yourself, to understand concepts of research, be able to read articles. You don't just have to stay with what's posted on the web or what people think about stuff. You can say, well, is that actually true? And how would I know? Well, I can go to the research myself because I have the tools now to go to the research myself. It's a really a huge step of becoming a professional. Charisse, do you have a thought to that?
That was such a good class. Because of my engineering background, a lot of my cohort, which we had a huge WhatsApp and we're still continuing today, a lot of people are very scared about the statistics course because, statistics, it can be scary, but it was actually done in such a way where it was so accessible to everyone. And Dr. Klausli, you were my professor for the statistical analysis class. I had a great time reading it and going through all of the statistical models, because I think there's a lot of things where when you watch on the news media, they're like, oh, statistics say this, but I'm like, I want to know what statistics actually say than what the media tells me. So there's a lot, you're much more in depth now. You can understand statistical research and you can actually read these papers where these statistics come from and understand really what they actually mean. So I had a great time at that course.
Yeah, I love that course. Obviously, I teach it. I really enjoy the process. The research methods and program evaluation. It's interesting. We still have people who are in different ministries come back to us to process with us, because that course takes you through the ability to ask the right question of, how would I know if my ministry or work is actually effective, right? And have the tools to ask those questions and answer those questions. So we still have periodic people who are now in different ministries who have graduated, who are like, I actually would like to understand better if our youth ministry is actually reaching the goals we wanted to reach, or if our missionary work or our seminary formation, right, is it actually reaching the goals we set out to reach, and how would we know? So that's kind of really helpful. And then social psychology, fantastic to understand who we are in groups, in culture, diversity. God has made us diverse. What does it look like? Created in the image of God with all the diversity that we see in the world. And how does it affect us in groups and cultures? So those are our core courses that everybody takes. You look at the chat, say hello. So if you have a question, you can also just maybe raise your hand. So we will go just quick a little bit through. We've talked about the different concentrations and kind of different jobs you can do with that. You'll schedule an individual discussion with Joe or Charisse where you go through these. We won't spend a lot of time on those. If you have questions, you can ask about those specifically. And then moving forward, I will turn it over. I'll stop sharing. I'll let Joe Drennen share, kind of going through the specifics of the school and the program. If you have questions, how do you move forward? Those kind of practical pieces.
Well, thank you, Dr. Klausli. I will do that. And thank you, Dr. Klausli and Charisse for giving that good input in what you're doing. So I am going to share my screen. And I hope everybody can see this. And we are Divine Mercy University. It's a Master's of Psychology, 100% online degree. So the only time you would ever have to come to campus is at graduation if you wish to. And we don't, require the GRE, the Graduate Record Exam. Then we are composed of two schools. The School for Sciences, the Psychological Sciences, and School of Counseling. But our premise or treatises is it's the whole person. We call it the Catholic Christian meta model. And when we teach, of course, we teach psychology, the mind and behavior. We also put some philosophy in there. We infuse theology. Now, we don't have, theology 101 or religion 101, but we may make, references to the saints in the Bible. And this is to help you flourish so you can help other people flourish. And we've been around since 1999. And then in 2014, we started the 100% online Masters in Psychology. Then in 2015, we added counseling, but we went from a name change from the Institute of Psychological Sciences to Divine Mercy University, and we gained university status. And then we are accredited by the Southern Association of Schools and Colleges. And, in the U.S., there are 6 regional accredited groups. And you got like the Northeast, Middle States, Midwest, Southern states, and we're the Southern Association. So we're from Virginia down to Florida, over to Texas, and up through Kentucky. And other schools are like Duke, Georgia Tech, and many others. But it's a sign of quality that we're doing what we say we're going to do. And of course, you saw Dr. Klausli, but I don't know if she mentioned this or not, but when we form a group, and the next group we're forming is for a class to start on January 10th. And very few of our students have bachelors in psychology. They could be in nursing too. We have priests in there, we have deacons, we have social workers, we have homemakers, and again, they could be from all over the world since it is online. But what this makes for is a diverse learning group. And then, how is a master's online psychology unique? Well, it's all online. You never have to, get in your car, get dressed up, go to your car and go to class. It is all there. And you do it on your time because it is in, what we call asynchronous. And then, again, our big premise is the Catholic Christian, the whole person. We want to deal with the whole person, their mind, of course, their spirit and their heart. It's just deeper than secular psychology. And you can finish in either 16 or 26 months. And what I like is you get feedback from your instructors on a weekly basis. And, I was in school a while back, but my only feedback was the grade on my paper. And I either did good or bad. And if I wanted to talk with my instructor, I had to set an appointment. And I went to a couple of appointments. They said out for the day. So heck with that. But you're going to get feedback weekly, whether you want it or not. And we try to do have formation groups of about 24, 25 people. So that's pretty small. And we teach in the 5 learning modalities. Modalities are methods, and the biggest one is your lectures. You don't have to be there. They are recorded and archived, so you can watch and listen to them as many times as you wish. And then the other thing on that is you can download your lecture to a video or an audiobook. So if you're driving or working around the house, you can have that play for you. And our faculty's pretty good. And they want to help you learn. And you may have teachers, they just teach, I'm going to tell you this, you memorize it, we're going to have a test. Well, our instructors want to help you learn by, first of all, getting to know you as an individual, and finding out your learning style, what works best for you, and your goal for, after you finish them. And then there's I'm going to let you read some of these. These are some of the benefits of the Masters of Psychology program. So there's always benefits to getting a degree higher than what you have. And maybe some of you already have some type of master's degrees. I mean, we have a student right now who is in his fourth year of residency in psychiatry school, a psychiatrist. So he had to become an MD first, doctor. Now he's in psychology residency, and he's taking our course because he just said, no one ever taught me how to help people flourish. And he'll be a great psychiatrist. So, and then when I'm at graduations, I ask all the students, "What'd you learn most? What'd you learn most?" And 9 out of 10 times they said, "I learned most about me." So, a good part of helping other people is you have to know yourself first. And then Dr. Julie, she went over the concentrations, marriage and family, human services, leadership, pre-PhD, and self-design, plus bioethics. It's a big thing. And I don't know, I mean, it would be very, very helpful for someone, in the medical industry, if you're a nurse or maybe a CNA or whatever, but it's going to help you make decisions about anything. And decision making is tough because you never know, am I making the right decision? Well, I always say, if you make the right decision 51% of the time, you're doing good. So, and again, she went over all the concentrations, with you. And, and another thing about the marriage and family is that you get certified for what they call FOCUS, which is FOCCUS. And FOCUS is an assessment you give to couples before they get married. And it's a scientific way for them or for you to show them maybe blind spots that may come about, either, 2, 3, 4, 5 years in their marriage. And this way they are prepared for them. And, one of the biggest questions is, well, if I get my master's degree in psychology, am I going to get employed, in some type of psychology afterwards? Well, you never know. After my master's degree, it took me 2 years to get the job I wanted. And again, my master's was in education. But big thing, it's going to make you different. You're going to know about yourself and give you that broader base of knowledge and confidence. Then, the good things, on the, taking online classes, it's something, that's easy. I just do it from my home. You do it from home, but you still either have to put in, 15 or, maybe 30 hours a week, depending upon how many classes you take. So, you can, study anytime you want because you'll always have that continuous access to what we call Canvas. Canvas is our online learning platform. And then we, again, in Canvas, they have the 5 central learning points, videos, books, classroom tutorials, and audio books. Okay? So we can help you learn, and then getting the individualized feedback from your professors. And then this is our core staff. And of course, you had Dr. Klausli. She is the head person, and she generally teaches statistics, but Dr. Treptow, Purporo, and Dr. Gross, they teach, a lot of the classes. Then we have our others, well, they're very, very good. They all have PhD. And, Giovanna lives in Australia, so he's kind of opposite times. Chris has his own management consulting firm, but, they have their own specialties depending upon your concentration. And, the big thing is they want to help you learn. Now, here are the acceptance requirements. First of all, you have to have a bachelor's degree with a 2.5 or better grade average. And then 2 letters of recommendation. And these aren't recommendation letters that they have to compose. If you designate, say, a supervisor, a teacher, your spiritual director, maybe your priest or pastor, we send them a questionnaire and they rate you on different areas. Takes them 10 minutes, and they hit submit, and it comes back to us. And then your resume, a resume it's a paper about, most everyone has a resume. And a resume, to me, it tells me what you did in the past and what you're doing now, kind of up to the present. And then a written letter of intent. And this is a statement, 300 to 500 words, on how this master's degree in psychology is going to help you achieve your goals. And I call this the future. And then if your first language is American, US, you don't have to take the TOEFL or ITL test. And then we do have what is called a mandatory virtual orientation, and this happens after you get your application in. This is a small group Zoom meeting with you, Dr. Klausli, and probably about 4 or 5 or other of your class formations. Pretty simple on that. And then we do have financial aid. And when you get into graduate level studies, there are no more Pell Grants or state grants, federal or state funding. They do give you loans, and they give you a lot of loan money. And most students that, if you qualify, it will cover everything, even if you don't have scholarships. But we have certain scholarships that will help reduce the tuition, such as, early application scholarships. We have ones, if you're a veteran, if you are a good member of your parish, if you're in public service, such as a teacher, a police, in law enforcement or social worker, we want to make it affordable for you. Nobody goes for free. We want to make it affordable. And this is our tuition. It's, and this is without any scholarships, and this is everything, books, everything. Books today, going to college, you could pay another $5,000 just for a book. So, but it's $850 a credit hour for 33 credit hours, 28,050. And then your technology fees, 50 per class, 550. Then a residency fee, a 250. And this is the only time you are required to be online as a group present, and we need your attentiveness is on virtual residency, and it's on a Friday and a Saturday from 10 to 5. And it's you, all of your class formation, and all the instructors. It's one big learning session. And actually, it's better than if you went to, Sterling, Virginia, where campus is. It's great. Students love it. They want more of it, but that's the only 2 days you are required to be online for that 8 hours or so. And it really puts together your first. It comes after your first class. I call it the flourishing class, and it you'll really like it. So then, if you we have 2 tracks. you can finish your degree in 16 months or 26 months. And the 26 months, you take one class at a time. And a time is, when we have a semester, it's 16 weeks, and it's divided into two 8-week sections. And you just take one class, then you take one class, then you finish. And we do have breaks in there. It's not all straight through. About every 8 weeks in midterm, you're going to have at least a week break. And then after a semester, you're either going to have a 2-week break, a 4-week break, or a 5-week break. And so, you need that time off as well as the instructors. But then when you do the 16 months, you're taking 2 classes at a time. And it really, you're really going to finish up faster and get a significant reduction on tuition by almost $3,000 just for doing that. So then, and this is what I ask you, and this is something you discern about, is what, Dr. Klausli and Charisse, and what I've told you, will it help you obtain your goals? I don't know what your goals are. I'm sure you have goals, but anytime you invest time and money into a master's degree, there's got to be some type of payout, either financially or spiritually. And could you fit the time in? And in reality, if you are going to take one class at a time, you're going to be about 15, a little bit more hours per week on study, what we call, your research, writing, reflecting, and then submitting. And then if you take 2 classes at a time, 25 to 30 hours a week of this, depends on, how much you want to give up. But as I know for myself, going through a master's degree at age 41, I had to give up something to do it. And I gave up my free time. But I studied and got better at that. And then will financial aid work? Well, don't know that till you go with financial aid, but if it's not going to work for you, we're not going to let you attend. But most of the time, we're going to make it work for you. You'll be surprised how on your own you can make it work for you. And hey, if you start, you got to complete it, whether you're doing 16 months, 26 months, or you have some interruptions in there, and it's 48 months. If you start it, complete it. And that is that. And Charisse, do you have anything else you want to say to the audience?
Yes, absolutely. I think once you actually have your goal in mind, this program will help you attain it. I really came into this obviously, I didn't come from a psychology background, and that's perfectly fine. I was working full time while I was doing 1 class per term, and it's absolutely doable. So I remember when I was writing my written statement of intent that I was really wanting to help my families here at this parish that I was working at, and helping them succeed, helping them to meet them where they are, be present to them. And that was something that I was missing from my own personal perspective. But honestly, I learned more about myself during this whole course. I learned to flourish for myself so I can help other people flourish. There's a lot of personal reflections in these courses where you don't really realize until you've actually read the meta model, where you're like, oh no, this is something I need to see. I need to understand this so I can help other people flourish. So my goal was absolutely helpful. My goals were really attained by the end of this course, being able to help my families at this parish, and also to just have that cheerful, empathetic demeanor that I tend to miss because I used to be an engineer. But just saying, I had a great experience with MSP, and I hope you will too.
Okay, well said, Charisse. And almost, we call this the MSP, Master of Psychology, online, but you're almost saying this is a PhD, a people helper degree, PhD. So,
Absolutely.
this is wonderful. But Charisse and I will be back with you. Oh, maybe in the next couple days. And if you want to spend more time with us, we love to speak with you one-on-one. You've already been through the our really the same thing that we would do. Oh, if someone said, "What about retired teachers?" Well, teachers never retire. You're always teaching. Okay, but we love teachers. I mean, that's my background, and this is a degree that can really help you help other people. If you're a teacher. So, and if it's never retire, I'm sure you're doing some subbing like I did. So, all right, well, everybody, thank you so much for your participation, and thank you, Charisse, and thank you, everybody,
Sure.
so much. And we hope to speak to each other soon. Bye now.
Oh, there was
Oh,
a
what's that?
Q&A. There was a Q&A question just right now.
Oh, all right. It
Sorry,
says,
Joe.
I want to ask if the were accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. They credit Duke, Florida State, and all the way through there. But um, I had someone ask, "Are we APA accredited?" Well, we use the APA writing side, but only our doctorate degree is APA accredited. Counseling is CRACUP accredited, but we're regionally accredited. I hope that answers your question. And I would like to speak with everybody very soon. Thank you, Teresa. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.